Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be going over we are going to be analyzing the 538 Senate forecast. So this model came out about 2 days ago, and currently ever since it was, released, it has had the Democrats slightly favored to win the Senate. Their current chance of winning the Senate, do they actually have? Yeah. So they have a 59% chance of winning the Senate compared to, 62% back in August. So definitely it has narrowed up for them. They were originally projected to win 51 seats. Now they're projected to win 50. Coming towards the election, it is pretty notable to see in how it is starting to narrow up, especially on the Senate level. However, on the presidential level, Joe Biden's been at one of his strongest points in the 538 model since it basically was released, which is pretty notable considering the fact that, Trump has somewhat been able to narrow up certain states. However, it doesn't seem to be really reflecting in the 538 model, which I'm not entirely sure is 100% accurate. But looking at the actual forecast for each Senate seat, I have it into yapms.com. And this is the current composition for their deluxe version. So what the deluxe version does is it takes so it has the expert ratings and the classic forecast, includes polls as well. If we were to click on the state of Colorado, a pretty contested state, it shows in how it hasn't really fluctuated too much. Cory Gardner somewhat doing a little bit better. Takes a look at the polls on what is influencing the forecast. Pretty notable in how every single one of these polls has Hickenlooper doing better than what is actually projected in their model. So I think that is pretty notable, especially, public policy polling is the best pollster that they have. I think it's also pretty weird how Montana State University, why would you? Yeah. But generally, looking at the deluxe version, it currently has a tie. And looking at the most likely outcome, currently it's about a 14.5% chance that there's going to be 50 seats. And the average outcome currently is 50.5 seats for the Democrats, and then 49.5 seats for the Republicans. The Democrats have an 80% chance of holding between 47 and 54 seats, which is pretty notable. So either they're going to retain the seats that they currently have and not flip anything, or they are going to gain a potential net of 7 seats. And that is pretty insane considering the fact that this is the 2014 map where the Republicans had a huge wave back in 2014. I think they picked up seats in Illinois, and, they made states super competitive. Anything that moved would generally be, the Republicans had to play in that state. Oregon, I remember, was pretty close. Illinois was pretty close. New Hampshire was pretty close. Maine, a state that currently is Sarah Gideon, she's very narrowly leading, but still has a lead. Susan Collins won this by double digits. One of the safest Republican seats back in 2014, now having the Democrat favored to win, which is extremely notable in my opinion. But yeah, generally this is pretty insane. I think, one thing that I thought was weird and is how the state of Idaho, a very solidly Republican state, a state that's not going to be contested whatsoever, is closer than the state of Oregon. And Oregon on the presidential level, I could easily see being a likely state, being under 15 points for Joe Biden. However, the fact that Jeff Merkley has made this state, not even competitive, that the state of Idaho is more in reach for the Democrats than the state of Oregon for the Republicans is insane. And, same goes with the state of Virginia. It's pretty comparable to the state of Idaho. Mark Warner, running up the margins here in a state where it went to Bush both times. Barack Obama was able to win it by a pretty substantial margin each time around. It's pretty close back in 2016. I think it was under 5 percentage points back in 2016. Now projected to go to Mark Warner by over 20 points. This is absolutely insane. I mean, the state of Kentucky is closer. Kentucky! Solid red Kentucky. I think that's pretty insane. But, looking at their other models, the light version, just based off of polls alone, definitely has favored the Democrats a bit more. Pushes Colorado from previously being, under 5 points to almost a, what is that? Like an 8-point lead for Hickenlooper. Pretty good for him. Mark Kelly expands his lead to about 7 points. New Mexico a bit closer, actually, which is a little interesting. The state of Texas gets a little closer to about 9 points. Kansas gets even closer to a lean characterization. The state of Alabama goes more towards the Republicans. The state of Mississippi more towards the Republicans. Georgia gets super close. Their regular election, their special election, not really. The state of South Carolina. I think the state of South Carolina is super notable. Recent polling has had it dead even. Quinnipiac University even, 48-48. And even for the previous polls, excluding, the C-rated Gravis poll, I generally, any Gravis poll, even if it seems somewhat fair, I generally do not trust the way that they use certain amounts of data. They haven't really been able to call an actual race in like forever, so I don't trust their characterizations whatsoever. So Graham plus 7, I don't think that's going to happen. Quinnipiac previously, even, 44-44. Their newest poll, 48-48. And seeing here till election day, I generally think that South Carolina could easily become the Indiana of 2020. I think Joe Biden's potentially going to keep it under 10 points. And that's really significant. I mean, the Democrats are overperforming in the South and the Sun Belt in ways that they haven't been able to do in the Midwest. I mean, they really are trying to make a play for the Midwest, trying to win it back from Trump. But if they just focused on the South and the Midwest and the Sun Belt, they could easily win this election in a landslide. So yeah, this is kind of my analysis of, the 538 forecast. I'm just also going to look at the classic. I think the classic is pretty interesting. It gives Doug Jones his best margin, 4 points. I think that's, I don't know, I think Nate Silver in this forecast is very conservative for both sides. I don't think he wants to necessarily give too much of either side, like a big lead. I don't think he wants to, on election day be like, oh, I'm sorry that my forecast was wrong. I think that he wants to generally be as close to the actual result as possible, even if he is underestimating a lot of candidates. But yeah, I think this forecast is pretty cool to kind of look at. I'm not entirely sure if it's actually like right. And the classic projection, I was actually the closest, which is interesting. This is actually super weird. It has Alabama closer than states like Montana and North Carolina and Colorado, when that's probably not going to be true. I can easily see Tommy Tuberville probably going to win by double digits on election day. So again, I'm not sure how accurate this forecast actually is. It doesn't really show too much of the methodology when it comes to this. I'll probably look through the data after this, but I think it's pretty notable to kind of look at, where they think the race is at currently, and kind of making our own predictions, like drawing from this model. So if you guys enjoyed this video, sorry it was a little longer. Sorry I haven't actually posted in a while, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please leave some suggestions down in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe, and thank you.